In the last video, we spoke about authenticity and how to become more authentic. The conclusion of this video was, becoming more aware on your emotions and feelings and desires and needs. In this video today, we extend awareness and we speak about you and your identity. So even becoming more authentic by becoming aware on what makes you unique. My name is Michael, and this video is part of a series on new leadership principles. And the leadership principle today is identity. So who are you when nobody is watching? In today's life, when we grow up in schools and universities, we make an experience that, people give us a grade for everything, for math and language skills and other skills. And schools today are very oriented on deficits, so what we cannot do very well. And when we grow up, when we start our first job and second job and third job and so on, we try to fit into a system. We try to, deliver the expectations other people have on us. And the danger of it is we lose our clear identity. So we are not really aware on who we are and what makes us unique. Maybe we are more aware on what we can't do well, missing skills, missing competencies, and so on. So in order to create a strong identity and become aware on it, we want to focus on not the deficits you have, and everybody has, but we're focusing on the values and the strengths that makes you unique. First of all, let me focus on values. I just read a report on how many decisions we make each day. And the number was 20,000. So imagine, you make 20,000 decisions every single day. But the other number coming with it was just 95% of these decisions are unconscious. So we make unconscious decisions, thousands a day. How do we make these decisions? If they are not conscious, so probably unconscious parts of our personality forms these decisions. That can be bias, for instance. There are lots of unconscious bias that, leads us to a decision, but we are not conscious about why and how we made this decision. Another part is very important and very strong is values, personal values. When I ask people, leaders in a classroom, in any of our workshops, and I ask this question quite often, what are your personal values? People look like, probably I have values, but I cannot really articulate them. So most people are not aware on their personal values. On the other side, values are like, a navigation system. Whenever you make decisions in your life related to your family, to your job, to your friendships and so on, you probably are led by values. Which means values play a strong part of your decision making, but you're not conscious about that. By becoming aware on your personal values, you have something in your hands you can use in your leadership role as well. When you have clarity about your personal, let's say the 3 or 5 most important personal values, you can use them consciously in your leadership job. You can make promises to your peers and to your teams what you stand for, and in brackets, what you don't stand for. You can make a promise on what they can count on. Values are very important. First of all, becoming aware on values, because that's already your personal navigation system and helps you making decisions thousands a day. On the other side, values are also important, and clarity and awareness about values, because when you create an environment you join a new company or so, you probably look for a surrounding that is congruent to your values. If a company represents values that are not your values, you probably, you're suffering, you don't feel comfortable, and maybe in the long run you will leave the business, and maybe you cannot even describe why you're leaving it. Remember, most parts of your values are unconscious. You still feel not comfortable. You don't feel appreciated for who you are because you represent different values than the culture and the company you're working in. So becoming aware and create clarity on your values is important, first of all, in your leadership role, to give promises to your team, but also to feel comfortable and really to thrive in a culture, and maybe even by picking a new job, looking for the right culture where your personal values are congruent to the shared values in this company. And there's another part that is very important. I always remember a video on TED. You probably know TED. It's this speaker's platform, right? And one of the most clicked videos ever was from Sir Ken Robinson. And he spoke about, or he asked the question, do schools kill the creativity of our kids? And I strongly recommend to watch this video. It's amazing. And it's also funny, by the way. And in this video, Sir Ken Robinson tells a little story about Gillian Lynne. And maybe you have never heard about Gillian Lynne, although you have seen her, her art, her job, because she was a choreographer and she was, working in plays like Cats and Phantom of the Opera. But in her early days, she was a dancer. And when she was 8 years old, and that's the story that Ken Robinson tells us, when she was at the age of 8, she was, struggling in school. She was difficult to learn. She couldn't concentrate and focus on things. She was always moving and so on. And of course you can see, and that hasn't changed, by the way, because schools today are working the same way. She didn't fit into that environment where you need to sit still and focus on, math or language. And her mother went to a doctor. And they left the room for a while and observed the child. And before they left the room, the doctor turned on the radio. And immediately, the 8-year-old girl stood up and started dancing. And the conclusion of the doctor was telling the mother, Gillian isn't sick. She's a dancer. So she had a unique strength, a unique skill by the age of 8. And luckily, her mother took that information and supported to develop that strength even further. And the rest of her career is built on that particular strength. She's a dancer. She's not great in languages, great in math, great in any other things. So she probably got bad grades in many other subjects, but this specific one was enough to make a good living. And coming back to us as leaders and every person in your team, everybody around us, and even we have a unique strength that we can use. In some cases, we call it a superpower, something that makes you unique. And I just encourage you, find out your strengths. Use the Clifton Strengths Finder, for example, and we will post a link here as well, in order to figure out what makes me unique, right? So what is my superpower? Because when you are fully aware on your personal strengths, your personal competencies that, sets you apart from the rest, you don't need to focus anymore on what you can't do well and on all the bad grades other people give you. The key thing is you have one strength and you can use it for not just in your leadership job, but also in your personal life as well. My call to you is become aware and raise your awareness First, on your emotions and needs and desires, but also on your personal values and on your personal strengths. We all have values, we all have strengths, and we all have things that sets us apart, that makes us unique. And although we are conditioned, in schools and universities to focus on the deficits and the weaknesses we have, you are now a mature person. You can turn it around and focus primarily on your strengths and your personal values. We will post a lot of details on that, but my call to you is, when you create more awareness on your identity, your values, your strengths, in the same way, you allow other people around you to do the same. And that's my call again to you. Become unique. You are unique. Thank you.